What is up, guys? This is Limpio coming at you with a discussion today about something that's going to cause some interesting discussions and debates down in the comment section below, I am sure. But I think it needs to be spoken about because I think we need to identify the actual problem with the deck. And the deck is the Magical Explosion FTK deck. Now, it has more recently come to light with the Monarchs being able to use Pantheism and just the Monarchs in general to be able to use things like cards from the sky and all that. The deck got slightly more consistent compared to the builds that was before the Monarchs. But the two main cards that make that deck is Magical Explosion and Life Equaliser. Now, these two cards are the epitome of kind of degenerate because they don't really add anything to the game state. They don't do anything positive. One burns you and one just pretty much reduces your life, which is pretty easy to do. Now, first off, I will say that I am not salty about the deck. I don't really care for it too much. It's just kind of a necessary evil at times in this game because it's nice to see it doing well at one tournament, one big tournament, which was YCS Prague, where it got top 16. And it was nice to see that because it was a little bit different, and it also said to Konami, look at how disgusting your format is when this card, this deck, can make it so high at such a premier event. But the problem is, these two cards, some people are finding it difficult to decipher which is actually the bad one and which is actually the one that's just it's only possible because of the other one. So if we first look at Life Equaliser. Life Equaliser is simple effect. If the difference between your life points and your opponent's is 8,000 or more, both players' life points go to 3,000. Now, that is a pretty good effect, and it's used in different ways by just taking different burn damage or pain costs. Then you have Magical Explosion, which your opponent takes 200 damage for each spell card that is in your graveyard. Now, if we just take a hypothetical situation, you have 39 cards in your graveyard. So if you're just playing a 40 card deck, you recycle through the whole thing, and you have a Magical Explosion set, you activate it. You're doing 7,800 damage to your opponent's life points. That's just if you have 39 cards and you've recycled through them, and that's the whole deck with the one Magical Explosion. If we add in Life Equaliser to the whole asset of the deck, just look how easy it is to inflict 3,000 to your opponents. So it's not very difficult if you have Life Equaliser, and Life Equaliser's goal is much easily reached with the addition of Chicken Game to the deck. 3 Chicken Game and 3 Pseudo Space. You activate all of them, that's 6,000 life points. You incorporate Upstart Goblins, that's 9,000 life points difference. And there's your gulf. There are other cards obviously that we'll use, but there's just a very simple basic thing with just including draw cards. Magical Explosion is a card that's always kind of been a problem. It's always been around in this FTK deck, and one that I just don't understand why we actually still have it in the game. It doesn't add anything to any decks apart from FTK decks. That is it. However, while it is a problem in my eyes, Life Equaliser is actually the real problem. As I said with my example, you have to inflict 7,800 damage to your opponent if they are on 8,000. That is with 39 cards being spells in your graveyard. That's still pretty difficult to pull off. Consistency issues because not even the Monarch deck, obviously, plays all spells. It plays certain cards, like Monarchs, to use the cards in the sky, trade in, so on and so forth. If you just leave Magical Explosion in this meta as it is now, take out Life Equaliser, the deck kind of dies. Albeit you can argue that you take out Magical Explosion, it does the exact same thing, which it does. But Life Equaliser is a card that I think is always going to be a problem. Same with Magical Explosion, you can argue kind of for and against which one is a big problem, but Life Equaliser, that effect, just putting you and your opponent on 3,000 life points, it's kind of a really strong effect that can easily be pulled off with a lot of different cards nowadays. This is kind of always going to be down to personal opinion and subjective opinion on which people think is actually the problem in that deck. And if you look at the deck, anyone will say, well, it's only those two cards, which it is, because there's nothing in that deck should really be a problem. Apart from maybe Royal Magical Library, that card is still degenerate and only adds to FTK decks and OTK decks, so Still don't know why it's in this meta. But I want to know what you guys think. Which one do you think is the problem? Do you think it's Magical Explosion, or do you think it is Life Equaliser? Make sure to let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to give me a like, comment, subscribe, and I should catch you guys later.